talk. How about that? And Kay is passing around the world, so you can give a little love. There you go. Thanks, Kay. Oh, I'm not sure this is going to work out. Here we go. I got a lot of props today. Here we go. I'd like to remind you that we're here to do the highlights. I had intended to do that mid-July, but we just had so many great speakers. So here we are, and I'm finishing them up this day in August. So we did January through March last week, and now we're doing April through June. So we're going to start with the poem on the wall back there, and the title of the talk was Our Great Big Affirmation. Bless this place, bless us. You remember that? And if you don't remember, and for some of you who weren't there, the prayer back there is called, it's called Blessing for Our Church, and it was inspired by the prose that was written in 1928 by a woman by the name of Mary Brewerton DeWitt. And she called it the consecration of the room. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, obviously, but I want to give you some highlights. First of all, what we affirm. We affirm that we hold only the highest and best in our hearts, our minds, our homes, and our bodies. These are our sanctuaries, aren't they? Our homes, our minds, our bodies, our spirits. And we remember the prayer for protection, Unity's prayer for protection, to say that as Daniel and Jane do every day before they even leave the house. And as my husband, the Star Trek fan, I tell him every day when he leaves, shields up. We affirm these following aspects of God in all things, including us. In all things, including in us. There is only one presence in this place and in our congregation. Whoever enters is conscious of the one divine presence of good. The next thing that she talks about in the poem over there is truth. Whoever enters here is conscious of the presence of truth. And purity, and peace, and harmony, and prosperity. We're conscious of wisdom, joy, and love, and gratitude. We are grateful for all these and the presence of God in this place and in us. We are grateful for that all who enter here are abundantly blessed in all these things. Bless this place and bless us. And then the next week, we were in the Lenten season. So the next week, I called it, How's Your Letting Go Going? Well, it was also known as Letting Go to Celebrate the Christ Within, the Christ Light Within. And I talked about how letting go is a full-time, lifetime process. It's not something we don't give up breathing, and we don't give up letting go of things, even if it's a wild hair, right? Here we go. We let go until we are free, free, free. Free from wincing recollections and sinking feelings of regret or pesky grabbings of gut from shame or constant need to forgive ourselves or another person. We're all somewhere in the process from holding on for dear life to letting go to live life, right? And we let go from the root to the symptom. Not just the symptom, but from the root to the symptom. As above, so below. Remember that. So also from within, also without. So from the insides to the outside, and so on. From all dimensions and directions. This creates room for thriving. We feel clean and clear, unobstructed, confident, and filled with self-worthiness. We release and let go of the blocks, the stuff, the gunk, and the too muchedness. We walk away from being bogged down, buried, and beleaguered. To embrace, create, allow, and receive our highest and best. And another affirmation. We release and let go all that which does not belong to us and loose ourselves to our highest and best. And from Unity's Lent booklet from 2019, and Martha Smock, who was the author throughout, the main author. There were also reverends and ministers and licensed Unity teachers from around the country who also participated in the readings. She says, unbound, triumphant, and glorious and free. That's what we are. You are unfettered, unbound, triumphant, glorious, and free. And for what? To be the self God created us to be. So let's ask, who is that? What do you really want? So let's take a deep breath and give it the thought it deserves. Thank you. And the next week was Easter, yay! And we talked about what that holy day represents. It represents the resurrecting of the power of God and the power of God within. So not just the power of God, but the power of God inside of us. Power infused with intention for the whys, for the whos, and for the whats, right? The intention. Who am I doing this for? Who am I doing it? Why am I doing it? And for what am I doing it? Easter represents power infused with a higher purpose and bringing the winter of life into spring. I told the tale of the great northern goddess Ostara, who woke from a long winter. And we learned that the Easter egg is a symbol of rebirth and Jesus' emergence from the tomb. There's a slide there. There we go. And there should be another one. Personal resurrection. That's our personal resurrection and comeback. Okay. The Easter message is one of personal resurrection and personal comeback. So for whatever you're coming back from, whatever you need to rise from, and that's the Easter celebration of resurrection and returning to the light, sharing that light in this world. And then the next week, we were out of the Lent season, and we were out of the Easter season, so we talked about spiritual growth, another kind of spiritual growth, our personal spiritual growth. And we talked, and the title was called, We Start From Here. We start from here in kindness and self-love, among other things. We start from our personal here, wherever that is, from wherever we've come, wherever that is. In life, if we stay open to new things and we choose, we move through apprentice, journey, and master levels. We use our emotional guidance systems. On that day, we talked about emotional guidance systems, using our intuition and our emotions as compass, our internal emotional guidance systems. We also use and grow our spiritual capabilities. So we're not resting on laurels. We're not thinking, well, this is how it is. We know that we can grow and learn and be more. And when I say if we choose, by that I mean if we choose to love ourselves enough, if we choose to notice, to become aware, and to be alone in the silence long enough to hear, and to allow the knowing to come. So gotta wait there in that silence long enough to get that knowing. Don't just jump up and, okay, I did my silence bit. So, okay. The key here is that we love ourselves from wherever we are and wherever our here is at this moment in time. And we start from where we are in this moment, this now, our now. The next Sunday, which was in May, we talked about hold the phones. I said, hold the phones, we're going in. Meaning, hold the phones, we're going in. That's what the heroes always shout. We're going in, and what I meant was we're going in deeper. We're going to take a deeper look. We're taking a deeper dive into personal spirituality. And I asked you this, have you ever felt anxious and longed for peace? Tired and longed for rest? Felt like everything was complicated and you just longed for a more simpler life? Anybody? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, all right, people are copping, okay. Have you ever experienced this as a dissociated, soulful longing? A disquiet, a feeling of needing more, wanting more, but haven't identified that more. Somewhere in the back of your mind, you know it's not that bag of potato chips. Have you looked to the divine within? During that talk, that very week I was preparing this talk, I was guided by Spirit, and this is what came. Reach within for that higher vibrational place within you, even as you stand at the sink, stretch on your mat, wash your laundry, check your messages. Reach inside for more light until it surrounds you and it fills your thoughts and feelings. Use it to focus on and in your world. I love that. I'm going to read that part. Reach inside for more light until it surrounds you. You're reaching inside for more light until it surrounds you. And it fills your thoughts and feelings. And then we focus that into our world. And I talked about party lines. Everyone here seemed to know what party lines were. Anyone here doesn't know what a party line is, Susan? Okay, so a party line was something that happened in the rural, a lot of times in the rural, and before that, even in cities, but when I was growing up in the rural part of Missouri, we had party lines. And what that meant was, I picked up the phone and any number of people could have been on the phone at the time, because it wasn't cost effective for the phone company to bring a single line to every independent line to every home at that time. So you had to check and see if anybody was on the line before you made your call. And there were some busybodies who would actually just pick up and listen anyway on what was going on. That was how they kept up with everything. Instead of Facebook, it was a face line, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm talking about how our party line, our personal line, we have a personal private line with God. And whenever we let the receiver, God is on the line. It's our personal connection with God. God never hangs up. I like to say, no matter what we say. So, you know, if you're cussing at God, God's not going to hang up. Isn't that cool? You can just rest assured that the next time you pick up, God's going to be there. God is here. So even when we put God on hold, the divine source is still there. And so let me ask you this. Do you feel the need to reaffirm your divine connection? You don't have to raise your hand or anything. When we reach for the connection, we turn our mental focus away from earthly distractions and get quiet. And we center ourselves. The easiest way? The breath. The easiest way is breathing. Like a ladder on the highest rung, the divine source is our journey and our destination. So from whatever rung we now perch, again, we start from here. And the next Sunday that I spoke about, Mother's Day, it was Mother's Day, and I said, the title was Mother's Day Look at the Divine Feminine and Masculine Within. And the first thing we did was we honored our mothers, and we honored mothers who mothered us, whether they knew it or not. For example, fathers, friends, partners, Myrtle Fillmore, Louise Hay, Maya Angelou, Betty White, Mrs. Doubtfire, Mrs. Weasley, Tammy's smiling, Mr. Rogers maybe. And we also honored the Divine Mother within us. And I introduced Amma, who in her language, Amma means mother. And as a young girl, she attracted attention by meditating hours upon hours at the seashore. And also as a young girl, hugging people in a motherly way, which wasn't so easy in the society that she was in at the time. And now she does this for a living, and she has a compassionate charity. Her name is Amma. And we talked about Myrtle Fillmore, who was also known as the Mother of Unity. And we talked about Mary. Mary, who grew up as a Jewish girl. We talked about her as a girl, a woman, and a wife, and a mother, and the prophecies that she had and were surrounding her during her lifetime. And we talked about mother goddesses from around the world who personify nature, motherhood, fertility, creation, even destruction, or who embody the bounty of earth. We acknowledge that metaphysically, the male and female aspect are present within each and every one of us, in all of us, in all of our bodies, and in all of each of our bodies, physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, all our bodies. So, in order to grow spiritually, we all need balance, and we all need both the male and the female aspects within us. So, what do you think of as a masculine feature or aspect or characteristic or a feminine characteristic? You need some of that. You think it's feminine? You need some of that. You think it's too masculine? You need some of that. We all need that balance. So I'd like to say this, and I said it then, that it's no surprise to me of today's increase in the outward blurring of gender. But when the inner balance of the spiritual male and female is evolving and manifesting in all bodies, not just on the physical level. And you can recognize this in the world that you live in. And the next Sunday was order affects everything. And if you, hopefully you got it, in your handout, you should have a thing that says divine order. And this is a very well written discussion on order here in this book by Catherine Ponder, Healing Secrets of the Ages. And I highly recommend that you read this. And on the back of that card, I gave you an affirmation. I wrote an affirmation for you. So let's see here. So I asked you, is your life a living chaos of disarray? Or do you feel like your energy is being sucked into a vortex of unexplained disorder? Do you feel like you need room in your mind to breathe? As well as your home, your office, and maybe your car. Is the lack of harmony affecting your health, your relationships, your finances, maybe your work, your vocation? And do you want and need order in your life? You feel the need, you want the need. Well, you don't know if you don't want the need, but you want order. You know there's something. You need to have a little order. Remember the axiom, as above, so below. So order is the first law of the universe and of the earth. That's pretty heavy, a pretty bold statement, isn't it? The first law of the universe and of the earth. Order, earthly order, and its related manifestations are divine order expressed. So order is God expressing through divinely into the order of this world. We activate divine order through our centers, our power centers. So those might be our chakras, those could be our Sephiroth, and it could also be our 12 powers as introduced by Charles Fillmore, and you'll hear through Daniel's meditation today. And we have a slide. So on the left there, you can read what the Revealing Word says, in case you don't have your own copy of the Revealing Word. And also on the right, the declaration by Catherine Ponder, which is divine order. Divine order, she says, it declared us everywhere. Divine order at every needful thing in your life. So that card, you can move it around your house. You can create your own cards that just say divine order. I have one in my kitchen, one in my office, which I need to find. And I have, so put it in your car, your wallet, everywhere, right, Kate? Any lack of order also exists within us. Oh, okay, it's just water. And that was a little message to me for order. Okay, so we recognize that. We recognize I recognize my own state of order, and that's what we do. We recognize that's how we first change. We recognize the state of our order or disorder. We align our thoughts and feelings, and then as she writes, she being Reverend Dr. Catherine Ponder, declare that the people, situations, and even the universe about you will respond in a more orderly way. So bring the desired emotion, the power of order, into the outward task of creating order. So bring the desired emotion, because order works through emotional harmony. So bring that feeling. Do not attempt to disassociate the feelings we have with the idea of bringing the order. So going in and trying to hurry up and get this organized, maybe that's not the best energy to bring into the organization work that you have to be doing. So remember that it works through emotional harmony, and we refuse our harmony and order with our actions by letting go, reordering, and reorganizing. Not just our actions, but also our thoughts and words. So it's always thoughts, words, and actions. I'm talking right now, just now, about actions, but it also applies to our thoughts and words. And here's the affirmation, which is actually on the back of your card. Allow divine order to stretch, rearrange, reshape, and conspire for our highest and best in every aspect of our lives and beings. Thank you. Now, the next Sunday, we were blessed to have Daniel MacNeil talk about the 12 powers. Part 1, he talked about the 12 powers that we just mentioned. And you can read about this in The 12 Powers by Charles Fillmore, and also The Revealing Word, and also The Healing Secrets of the Ages is all about the powers. And that's by Catherine Ponder. Thank you. And then the next Sunday I was back on, and it was coincidence or is it? Happy coincidence or serendipity? Freak accident or spiritual attention getter? Puckering of chance in the dimensional fabric or vortex of intention? Spurt or active law of radiation and attraction? Synchronicity? Spiritual tap on the shoulder? Remember I talked about how I had that spiritual tap on the shoulder in the southern Utah highway, hit the black ice, and that was, I definitely felt that 2x4. We don't all need it. And also random manifestations of grace. We think there may be a coincidence, but they're grace. And let me tell you what Charles Fillmore defined it in The Revealing Word. Goodwill, favor, disposition to show mercy, aid from God in the process of regeneration. So God's helping us regenerate. And also in The Revealing Word, he quoted, "By grace have ye been saved," from Ephesians 2:5. And from the Unity lesson, which was a 75-page discourse for the Unity School of Christianity by a woman by the name of Debbie Tyson. She wrote this thing, it was called Grace Awakening, Blocks in Consciousness that Resist the Activities of Grace. So there are 4 things, and I'm going to give you 4 things. First, these are the things that block our grace. These are the things we don't necessarily want having going on to block grace, right? The first is negative thinking, resulting from the human perceptions or judging by appearances. 2, the insistence of an even exchange all the time. Are we wearing masks? See, I gave him, 6 of those, so I guess I better have, okay, see how that works? We don't always need to do that. It blocks our grace. 3, the belief that we ourselves must do all the work. Would that be blocking your grace? Well, because it doesn't give other people the opportunity. It doesn't give God the opportunity to bring grace into our lives. So the 4th is the fear that the will of God might cause us some pain and suffering. Well, that's a zinger, isn't it? We don't want that one, do we? And then from the Kabbalion. This Kabbalion was written by, it's called the Kabbalion, a study of the Hermetic philosophy of ancient Egypt and Greece by the 3 initiates. And those 3 initiates remain anonymous to this day. And they wrote, "Chance is but a name for law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law of cause and effect." One of the 7 sacred principles according to the Kabbalion. There's 7 sacred principles in here, and you can find this online for free, or you can also buy the book. I don't know if they have it in the bookstore out there, but should we ask them?
We can ask them.
Okay, and then we talked about the law of radiation and attraction. Remember, in the old days they called it law of radiation and attraction. Nowadays you just hear the law of attraction, right? Well, we want to remember that what we radiate, we're attracting, okay? So through our thoughts, words, and actions, everything we put out in the universe comes back to us. So, and then we talked about the law of subjective attention. The use of the subjective mind to tap into the flow of knowledge. So that's that, getting quiet and listening to our intuitive self, listening to the divine voice, that whisper. So, how do we turn curious happenings into intentional manifestations? Well, we actively and intentionally create our lives. We listen to and act on our intuition. We recognize and utilize the law of radiation and attraction, that the energy, and I have to repeat, the energy of our thoughts, words, and actions radiate. So you know how it is when you walk into a room of angry folks. You feel that radiating anger. So it's no different. When what we are radiating, we are attracting. So we want to be a constant, vigilant witness to ourselves. And we actively and intentionally choose healing prayer, affirmation, or visualization over worry. And gently and lovingly allow the 12 powers to work through us. We allow grace to flow into every aspect of our lives and beings beyond the happenstance of circumstance and coincidence. And the next week was, what the bleep am I saying? I asked, do you know what you're saying when you speak? If we believe our own beliefs about the power of thoughts, words, and actions, then we must peer closely at the effects of the power of the words we speak, and we peer closely at the effects of the power of the words we speak, and the thick stuff that hits the fan, like cursing and swearing and cussing. And I introduced the book, Angel Words, here, and the authors discovered, by helping the author, there are two authors, the son was helping the mother with podcast, and he noticed on his machine that he was using to produce these, that the graphs for the positive words were open and expansive, whereas the negative words were contracting and pinched, smaller. And we talked about swap speak, where you use different words instead of the other ones. So but they have the same emotions with it. For example, freaking badger, and which is one of my favorites. And also balderdash or malarkey. We've heard these things, and they carry the same energy, maybe not as powerful as the other negative energy, but it might be better just to replace those words too into higher vibrational words. So we want to also replace our words and our sayings, those cliches we say. These are some examples. Like, for example, if we have something that we say repetitively, like, I don't have enough, we want to change that to, I have plenty. See how different that feels? And this replaces one that you'll recognize, but this is the positive version. Blessed if you do, blessed if you don't, blessed no matter what. Mm-hmm. And we looked at experiments from Masaru Emoto, the fellow who wrote the Messages from Water, Japanese scientist, and we saw how the negative emotions impacted the water crystals and the water itself. And we also learned about the green bean lesson. Remember the kids who had the green beans and they showered various emotions to them, including love, and the ones who the plants that got the love grew and became beautiful, and the other ones, some of them didn't even make it. And we talked about transforming ourselves from worrywarts and with worry words to being sorry versus compassion. What's the difference? I'm not feeling sorry. When am I feeling sorry? Am I feeling, well, that's a sorry state of affairs. That's not the feeling we want. We do want to feel compassion. We might need to apologize, but we do not have to feel sorry in that sorry state is what I'm trying to say. Everyone get me? Mm-hmm. All right. So it's not just what we say, but the tone we use. And a slide. And another slide. Oh, no, actually, I like that slide. Let's keep it that one. As Catherine Ponder recalls, let's go back to the one that had the blue circle. Thank you. So Catherine Ponder calls the mind power. We have come to understand that that power is to understand the divine energy, the strength and authority, and the power behind what we say, the power of the throat. And I show this because what I'm showing here is the power is in the throat here. It's a power center identified by Charles Fillmore, and this is where where we speak. So we know that our words are true, and they come with authority, and they're strong, and they meet the situation, and they meet the vibration wherever they're in what's needed. So we are calling upon gently and lovingly our power. And my affirmation for that, only the highest and best is manifested in the words I speak, my thoughts, actions, and all the affairs in my life. And the next Sunday we had, if you remember, we had licensed Unity teacher George McGaffey, who visited us from Green Valley, Arizona. And it was Father's Day. So what did he talk about, which was perfect? Lessons he shared and he learned from his father. And then the next Sunday, I talked about, what's your story? What's your story? Tells, and what we tell others. I talked about, and some of these things are like facts. So what we're just telling is just like, things you might fill into an official form. So they don't really resonate necessarily with a lot of power or energy, that whether negative or positive. But sometimes, what happens when someone asks us, tell me about yourself? What do we tell them? Do we tell them our story of growing up? Do we tell them our stories of woe and worries? Or how about some current bragging rights? How about that? So what's the big deal about the stories that we tell and our storytelling? Because New Thought, metaphysical folks like us, well, we know and understand the power of our thoughts, words, and actions, the power of the law of radiation and attraction, that everything we put in the universe comes back to us. And our thoughts, words, and actions radiate and attract. This is a common theme. And sometimes the stories can keep us stuck, right? The same story, we keep telling the same story, and even as we're telling it, we're even to ourselves just like, this is getting a little worn out, right? Okay, so the 2 steps back and 1 step forward kind of story. So this is the kind of energy we're putting into it. We don't want to be, if this is what we want, this isn't necessarily what we're going to tell. Health stories are biggies. We tell our stories about what's going on with our physical bodies. And I like to say we should honor the body, but not claim it this health issue like an anchor around the neck or a big medal on your chest. Except for those people who have to wear the medical alert bracelets and necklaces, of course. But you know what I'm talking about. So I talked at that time about how I'm lactose intolerant, but I don't wear the t-shirt. So here we go. I want to remind you too what happened that when Daniel had his talk, and he talked how he would teach the meditation to the children of the medical or the muscular dystrophy, and he taught them not to say, and guided them not to identify the disease as my MD. So it's not my lactose intolerant, it's not my this or that. It is something that I'm healing, and this is what we're working with. It's not my identity, I am my identity. So here are some suggested takeaways from this kind of situation. We take a look at our stories, our own plus the stories we're telling about others, like I said about my brother. We transmute emotionally charged events into mere facts of our histories and our histories. We avoid the repetitive telling of woe. We honor our body, but we deny the power of fill in the blank. So my shoulder, we're not denying the power over us. We're not denying the fact that we have a shoulder. We're not saying, oh, I don't have this situation. We're saying that it doesn't have power over me. And and then we work with God in our prayers. We share stories that are fun and in authentic ways that inspire us as well as others. And we are consciously aware of what we're radiating into our own bodies. So I'm telling the story to somebody else, but the words are actually vibrating through me. So what's happening there? So that's one other way to remind ourselves, okay, what am I saying? What am I saying? And we let go of stories that bring us down and hold us back, because we don't want to be held back, do we? I said, you can rewrite your story, which sounds pretty bold, doesn't it? You can rewrite your story. It can be different. Just like I rewrote that story of the hot air balloon accident, so it became a transformative tale instead of a woe is me tale. This thing happened to me tale, you know. So it's a transformative. The next Sunday we had let's see here. We had Pat Conway, Reverend Pat Conway. She talked about compassion, and she had a lot of good things to say. And then the very next Sunday we had Eugene Holden. Remember Eugene? Tag you're it, meaning the abundance of God. You're it. And one word for Eugene. Wow. Wouldn't we love to have Eugene come back sometime? We're gonna do that, right? So then on the 14th of July, we had a Q&A panel with Reverend Bonnie, and it was a success, I think. We talked about unity in CSL. And for those of you who don't know, CSL, Center for Spiritual Living, they have their service here at 10:30, and this is their building and their space. And in January, they welcomed their arms to us when we let go of the lease of our other building, and so we could have a home to be in. And we talked about our family trees that day, and we answered questions about the differences and the samenesses, and we talked about our shared beliefs, and it was a good day. So today's highlights and themes, I'm just going to give you affirmations. You see that kind of winding through everything, getting out of our own ways to grow our spiritual lives, letting go, our personal spiritual growth, balance, order and power, the power centers, self-love, natural laws and thoughts, words, and actions, like the law of radiation and attraction and the law of subjective attention. And thoughts, words, and actions, extra emphasis on words. Thoughts, words, and actions, because, you know, in here I skipped over it, but I'm not going to go back, but we also talked about that Sunday, which I was so happy to bring you, smack talk and self-talk and talking trash to yourself. So remember that words are key. Now let's move to, also I want to remind you that each and every one of these talks you can see completely in full and get the whole thing on YouTube, and where you can stop and pause and look at the slides and things like that. I dropped mine, there it is. So we have one last slide I'd like to share. Adolfo Quezada, author of 20 psycho-spiritual books, including his latest, Love is My Religion, and retired and counselor and psychotherapist. From his book, Before the Night Comes, walk into the unknown with love in your heart, and the rest will fall into place. Thank you very much. And now let's prepare for meditation.
I am the Christ mind. I am, I am, I am. The superintelligence of the Christ mind is now expressing through me. Now. I now awaken, bless, and baptize my faculty and power of faith with my faculty and power of strength. Faith, faith, faith. I have faith in God. I have faith in people. I have faith in things. I have faith in the healing power of God as it works mightily in me now. I have faith in the perfect outcome of every situation in my life because God is in absolute control. And my faith now makes me whole. I now awaken, bless, and baptize my faculty and power of strength with my faculty and power of strength and love. Strength, strength, strength. I am a tower of strength within and without. I let all burdens fall from my shoulders. I let all anxiety drop from my mind. I let all fear slip away from my heart. I let every shackle be loosened. Divine strength is making wise and true adjustments in every phase of my life. I relax, I rejoice, and I let it. I now awaken, bless, and baptize my faculty and power of judgment with my faculty and power of strength. I am satisfied with divine substance. The substance of God now erases all fatigue from my body. It renews tissues and replenishes energy. Divine substance stabilizes my mind and prospers my affairs. Every line of my soul and every need of my life is now fulfilled on time, in full, in the right and perfect time, place, and way. I now awaken, bless, and baptize my faculty and power of love with my faculty and power of strength. There is only love in my heart for everyone. I pour out my love to all mankind. I suppress or hoard nothing. I will now freely let God love through me, now and always. I now awaken, bless, and baptize my faculty and power with my faculty and power of strength. All power is now given me in mind, body, and affairs. The power of God is now working through me to free me from every negative influence. Nothing can hold me in bondage. All power is now mine to control my thoughts, to vitalize my body, to experience success, and to bless others. I am strong in the Lord and the power of His might. I now awaken, bless, and baptize my faculty and power of imagination with my faculty and power of strength. Light, light, light. I now picture only the best for myself and others. My eyes are single to the good and my whole body is filled with light. I now awaken, bless, and baptize my faculty and power of understanding with my faculty and power of strength. I am intuitive understanding. Within me is the wisdom of the ages. The mind that knows how will show me now. The mind that knows where will tell me there. And the mind that knows when will tell me then. I now bless and baptize my faculty and power of will with my faculty and power of strength. I relax and let go. I relax and listen for the voice of intuitive understanding to unfold. It's good to me. I will to do the good will of God. Joyously, only good shall come to me in mine. I now awaken, bless, and baptize my faculty and power of order with my faculty and power of strength. Divine order is now established in me by the power of the indwelling Christ. I am in divine order. My mind is in divine order. My body is in divine order. My perfect health is in divine order. Healing of our earth is in divine order. The right and perfect solutions to the problems in the world today are in divine order and being fixed, manifested right now in the right and perfect way by the right and perfect people. Everything I say, think, and do is in divine order. Divine order heals, prospers, and guides me now. Bless and baptize my faculty and power of zeal with my faculty and power of strength. I praise my mind as the perfect creation of divine substance now. I praise my emotions as the perfect creation of divine substance now. I praise this place as God's house, as the perfect creation of divine substance. I praise our body as mind and spirit as the perfect house, the perfect creation of divine substance now. I praise my emotions as the perfect creation of divine substance now. I now see more good in my life, in my mind life, than I've ever seen before. I now bless and baptize my faculty and power of elimination with my faculty and power of strength. I now willingly let go of every thought, condition, and or relationship that in any way retards my perfect healing. I am blessed with perfect elimination of mind, body, affairs, and relationships now. I now awaken, bless, and baptize my faculty and power of life with my faculty and power of strength. Life, life, life. I'm filled and thrilled with vitalizing life. I'm alive, I'm alert, I'm awake. I am joyous and enthusiastic about life. I'm the ever-renewing, the ever-unfolding expression of infinite life. I, a tiny bubble of laughter, have become the sea of life itself.